You need to leave. Now.
One missed payment, and her world came crashing down. On a cold evening, as the sky turned gray and the streets grew quiet, 22-year-old Amina stood outside the small apartment she once called home. Her single suitcase rested beside her. The door behind her was locked. The landlord had just pushed her out for missing one rent payment. Just one. Amina wasn't lazy. She wasn't careless. She was poor. She worked long hours at a small tailoring shop in the city. The pay was barely enough, but she managed. Every month, she carefully divided her salary, rent first, then groceries, then electricity. There was never anything left for herself. No new clothes, no outings, no comfort. But that month was different. Her mother had fallen sick in their village. The medicine was expensive, and Amina was the only one who could help. Without hesitation, she sent most of her salary home. She believed she could explain the situation to her landlord and pay the rent just 1 week late. She was wrong. When the landlord, Mr. Rashid, knocked on her door that evening, his face was already filled with anger. "Where is my rent?" he demanded coldly. "Sir, please." Amina pleaded softly. "My mother is very sick. I sent money for her treatment. I promise I will pay you in 1 week." But he didn't listen. "I don't run a charity," he snapped. "If you can't pay, you can't stay." Within minutes, he dragged her suitcase outside. Neighbors peeked through their doors but said nothing. Amina's eyes filled with tears, not just from humiliation, but from fear. Where would she go? She had no relatives in the city, no savings, no backup plan. That night, she sat on a bench near a small park, hugging her suitcase tightly. The world felt cruel. She had worked honestly. She had sacrificed for her family. Yet here she was, homeless. As midnight approached, an elderly woman named Mrs. Farah noticed her sitting alone. Mrs. Farah lived nearby and had seen everything from her window. "My child," she said gently, "why are you sitting here at this hour?" Amina tried to hide her tears, but the story spilled out. She told her everything: the missed rent, her sick mother, the eviction. Mrs. Farah sighed deeply. "Come with me," she said. "You can stay in my spare room for a few days." At first, Amina refused. She didn't want to be a burden. But Mrs. Farah insisted. Sometimes, when one door closes harshly, another opens quietly. Over the next few days, Amina continued working at the tailoring shop. She also started searching for extra work, cleaning houses, ironing clothes, anything to earn more money. Mrs. Farah encouraged her. "You are hardworking. Don't let one cruel man break your spirit." One afternoon, something unexpected happened. A well-dressed woman entered the tailoring shop with an urgent request. She needed a wedding dress fixed within 2 days. Other tailors refused. It was too much work. But Amina stepped forward. "I can do it," she said confidently. She worked all night. Every stitch was perfect. Every detail was careful. When the woman returned and saw the dress, her eyes widened. "This is beautiful," she exclaimed. The woman turned out to be a business owner who supplied designer clothes to large boutiques. Impressed by Amina's talent, she offered her a better paying job immediately. Amina couldn't believe it. Within months, her life began to change. She moved into a small but decent apartment. She continued sending money to her mother, whose health improved. She saved carefully. She learned new skills. She grew stronger. But she never forgot that night. 2 years later, Amina had opened her own small boutique. Her designs became popular. People admired not only her talent, but her kindness. She treated her workers with respect, remembering how it felt to be powerless. One day, as she stood inside her boutique reviewing fabric samples, a familiar voice entered the shop. It was Mr. Rashid. He looked different, older, worried, less confident. He didn't recognize her at first. "My building is for sale," he said awkwardly. "Business hasn't been good. I'm trying to find a buyer." Amina felt a wave of memories rush back. The locked door, the cold street, the humiliation. She could have laughed. She could have ignored him. Instead, she calmly asked, "How much are you asking for it?" He mentioned the price. To his surprise, Amina smiled. "I'm interested." Days later, The deal was finalized. Amina became the new owner of the building where she was once thrown out. When Mr. Rashid finally realized who she was, his face turned pale. You're that girl, he whispered. Yes, Amina replied softly. The girl who missed one rent payment. He lowered his head, ashamed. Amina looked at him steadily. You taught me something important that night, she said. You showed me how powerful kindness could have been. She didn't insult him. She didn't seek revenge. Instead, she announced a new rule for the building. Any tenant facing emergency hardship will be given time and understanding before eviction, because she remembered what it felt like to sit alone in the dark. As for Mr. Rashid, he left quietly that day, carrying not just his papers, but the weight of regret. Amina often says in interviews now, success isn't about money. It's about never becoming the person who once hurt you. Her story spread across the community. People admired her strength. Young girls looked up to her. She proved that one missed payment doesn't define a person's worth. Sometimes life tests you in the harshest way. Sometimes doors are slammed in your face. But if you refuse to let bitterness grow in your heart, you can turn pain into power. And that cold night, when a landlord heartlessly forced a poor girl out of her home for missing a single rent payment, he thought he was ending her story. He had no idea he was only writing the first chapter of her success. If this story touched your heart, remember, never judge someone by one bad moment. You don't know the battle they're fighting. And one act of kindness can change a life forever. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because you never know whose life can change in a single moment.